Ya llegó la temporada de asados a The Home Depot. ¿Y tú, en qué estás trabajando? Si es en impresionar a tus invitados con tus asados, el asador de gas Next Grill con 4 quemadores es para ti a un precio bajo todos los días de $229. Además, también puedes encontrar todos los accesorios que necesitas para que tu carnita asada sea un éxito. Ahora sí, listo para ser el anfitrión de la temporada. Esta primavera, encuentra una gran variedad de asadores por menos de $300 en The Home Depot. Llegaron los ahorros de primavera a The Home Depot. ¿Y tú, en qué estás trabajando? Ya sea en tu patio, jardín o garage, el sistema de batería Ryobi One Plus le da potencia a más de 300 herramientas inalámbricas con un solo clic. Como a la sopladora o recortadora de cuerda Ryobi de 18 voltios, ahora a un nuevo precio más bajo de $129. Arranca todos tus proyectos con un clic. Solo en The Home Depot. Haces más, logras más. Ya llegó la temporada de asados a The Home Depot. ¿Y tú, en qué estás trabajando? Si es en impresionar a tus invitados con tus asados, el asador de gas Next Grill con 4 quemadores es para ti a un precio bajo todos los días de $229. Además, también puedes encontrar todos los accesorios que necesitas para que tu carnita asada sea un éxito. Ahora sí, listo para ser el anfitrión de la temporada. Esta primavera, encuentra una gran variedad de asadores por menos de $300 en The Home Depot.
Hello, you're listening to Me and Paranormal You with your host, Ryan Singer. Because it's more fun to believe.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for listening and or watching a new episode of Me and Paranormal You. This is your buddy, Ryan Singer. I am joined once again. I think is this thrice?
This is thrice.
Thrice with Jennifer Way. We are, energy healer, Reiki master, host of the Self-Consciousness podcast, also curator of sacred comedy, bringing consciousness and healing through laughter, which is what laughter, dare I say, what comedy is supposed to be. Now, I'm not trying to define the wide world of stand-up comedy specifically, or comedy in general, but it seems that a lot of people in the modern world think comedy is about burning someone down until there's nothing but ash left, and or taking no consideration for, just like this whole no rules, freedom of speech bullshit is like, it is coming to a head, and it will transition into something else. But I think you're ahead of the curve on this with the sacred comedy thing. And I think 5 years from now, everybody will be calling themselves a sacred comedian. But let's hope. Let's hope. So thanks for joining me today. We've got a lot to talk about. Specifically, I want to kind of start off by the hair is looking incredible. And the reason I bring this up is because of I posted an old childhood
I'm totally blushing right now.
You are blushing?
Oh, but yeah, no, go ahead.
So I posted an old, I think I must have been 5 or 6 years old, I think, in this photo. And we had, and you sent me a photo. We have exactly the same haircut as children.
Could have been brother and sister. Yeah, it was. I was like, you look so familiar. That's really weird. Yeah. And you were surprisingly beige. I was like, he looks like he could be Middle Eastern or something.
Well, the only time I've ever been mistaken for not being a white person is I have been, this is actually, I feel like you and I talked about this, but I was on a date one time with a woman, and this was in Ohio when I was, I don't know, my early 20s maybe. And she it was a first date, and she was a white girl, as 90% of the women in Southern Ohio are. That's me just guessing. But and so we're at the bar, and she goes, "So what are you?" And I was like, "What do you mean, what am I? I'm having a good time, and she goes, "No, what's your ethnicity?" And I go, "Wow. Oh, I'm Irish and Scottish and French, German, English. I'm kind of a mutt, but mostly Irish." And she goes, "Oh, I thought you were Egyptian."
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what gave you that idea. We've never talked about this or anything." And she goes, "Oh no, well, I'm sorry. I only date guys who have a little bit of color in them." That's
wow.
And I was just like, holy shit. Wow. I guess it's one thing to have preferences and what you're attracted to, which is fine. Like certain people are attracted to certain things, I guess. But to just be like, so like, I will not date or I only date like that to me, that's like wild, right?
That's
But
really weird.
yeah, but that's really the only time that's ever happened to me.
So
Um,
funny.
although I have cousins from Nigeria, and my cousin Steve and there's actually I found an old photo yesterday about this, and we both have really long hair. And in the photo, um, we do look like we're related in the photo, even though he's clearly
Wow.
a black man, right?
Yeah.
Um, but I used to get very tan when I was young. So I think
I,
that's
I
probably
I
why.
don't know that you're the kind of person who would ever do your DNA test. I know I wouldn't because I'm like I don't want them to have that information on me, but I feel like there's something in there. Like there could be something like North African or like Middle Eastern
It's
or
not
like
all
something.
just white milk in this jug.
Yeah.
Um,
It could be like beige milk. I
yeah, I
always
mean,
say I'm beige. I
you're
try to.
beige.
Yeah.
Is there a beige crayon? I haven't looked at crayons in
I
quite a
don't think
long time.
so. You know, it's so funny. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, I'm so glad that they updated it instead of just skin color. Now they have like the range of actual skin colors.
That's right.
But
There was
growing up,
one
they just had
crayon for
one.
skin color.
Yeah,
I mean, if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about institutional racism, I don't know what
exactly.
could potentially open your eyes to it.
Yeah.
Well,
In the 80s.
that's a great change that's happened.
Yeah, thank God.
And we want to talk about change today.
Yes.
Specifically, I want to get your insights and opinions because I think they're very thoughtful about change. Because we have talked in the past about holding on too tightly to breakthroughs, spiritual awakenings, things like
Hmm.
that. And
Yeah.
but I think it's important to integrate lessons that have been learned in the past. It's one thing to hang on loosely, I think we called it, but
Hmm.
it's another thing to just learn something and then just be like, I've got that, and just never try to integrate it into your life moving forward. Right? There's the
Yeah.
other side of just having this amazing moment and then just kind of disregarding it after that. Um,
Yeah.
but the world is moving so quickly. Um, with disclosure and other things happening,
Hmm.
I think it's I think it's probably really helpful for people to take lessons that have been learned in like spiritual awakenings and being able to apply that to situations that are unfolding now when
Yeah.
everything seems to be changing outside now as opposed
Yeah.
to the inside. And
Yeah.
do you think that's a reflection of so many people having a change inside that it's being reflected outside in the world?
I think it's that. And I also think it's just time. Like it's been coming for a long time in terms of like we're coming towards the end. Well, we're going from one epoch to another. And we're really in the dissolving point where the old stuff is just falling away and it's getting really nasty out there. Like I feel like it's very tumultuous, like exactly what you were saying, and it is very like boom, 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 like you're getting hit from all sides. And I think a lot of people are literally experiencing that in their lives. You know, there's so many people in our country right now who are being targeted, who are losing their jobs. I mean, there's just so much going on. And I think in terms of integrating, I think the current energy of the world and like the planetary placements and everything that's happening is very conducive to putting brakes on what's happening out there and almost not, I don't want to say going against the grain, but just doing the exact opposite of what's been done before in terms of really taking your time with things because we're so used to being rushed into life, into work, into being productive that you have to get to a point where you're putting your foot down and you're like, absolutely fucking not. Like, this is not how I'm going to play this game anymore. And I think you have to get to a point in your healing where you actually decide this is probably the most important thing to me right now. And I have to really pause most of what's going on in the world and spend a lot of my time looking inward. Now, I don't know that this is advice for everybody, but I know that that's what I've been doing because I've just come off of a very huge life change, and I am doing my best to just slow the fuck down. And the only thing I can say about integration is just as much as possible being in the moment, whatever that means for people. And I know this is all the same advice that everyone's been giving for like decades and centuries, but I'm like, you just need to, pay attention to the leaves. But it really is that, because this is about your growth. This isn't about the world, and I think if you're being directly affected by everything that's happening in the world right now, especially in this country, that's going to be a completely different, because you're literally going to be in survival mode. You have to accept that that's your experience right now. If you're not in survival mode and nothing is really being threatened, then you need to find a way to give yourself time to power down, because we're so overstimulated by the news, by everything that's out there, by social media, by all kinds of media, by even emails, marketing emails. Like, have you noticed the marketing emails have just gotten really insane? It's like, sorry, I'm just going to go into this. Like, I was trying to schedule, like, this has nothing to do with anything, but I was trying to schedule physical therapy. And I feel like this privatization of all these, like, there's like, everything is a conglomerate, everything is private now. Like, these huge companies are buying up like medical offices. Now you have like farms of like physical therapists or regular therapists, or at least that's my experience here on the East Coast. And I just sent an inquiry to a physical therapy office. I got text messages, I got emails like 2-3 times in a day. And then I was like, I don't think I want to do this right now. I got phone calls. And this guy got me on the phone, and I was like, you guys should play like Hard to Get a little more. Like, this is feeling very stalkery. Like, I literally, and the guy was like, what? I was like, if this was a dating situation, like, think of this as a dating situation. I am an absolute no at this point, because it's too much. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, that used to be the purview, and that used to be the total domain of like, sketchy insurance or sales, like car sales, right? Or something like that. And now I have noticed that, like, you get follow-up calls. Hey, this is the last email we're going to send. And then you get 17 more from them.
Yeah. I know.
And it's
you
like,
never have to believe it, because you're like, they're going to send one tomorrow.
And to me, it's all about how can we milk more pennies out of something.
Exactly.
Capitalism is just so thirsty.
So gross. It's so thirsty.
Capitalism is so thirsty.
That is exactly.
Well, it's interesting. Exactly. We got to take a quick break. We'll have to take a few breaks throughout the talk, but let's do that real quick. And I want to come back, and I want to talk about a very simple, maybe real life example of slowing down, of how someone can slow down, and then maybe also we'll circle back and follow more specifically into the path of like what it means astrologically right now, like you had mentioned with everything. So we've got Jennifer Way, and we're going to come right back. Remember, patreon.com/Ryan Singer, $3 a month. That's like 50%. And this is full disclosure. It's almost 50% of what my coffee order costs at Starbucks. Isn't that just awful? I am such a Starbucks guy. I call it Starbucks. I mean, to the fact that I have a nickname for it, like it's my lover. People are probably creeped out because he just said lover. Did he say lover? Yes, I said lover. So we're going to be right back after this short break.
Llegaron los ahorros de primavera a The Home Depot. ¿Y tú, en qué estás trabajando? Ya sea en tu patio, jardín o garage, el sistema de batería Ryobi One Plus le da potencia a más de 300 herramientas inalámbricas con un solo clic. Como a la sopladora o recortadora de cuerda Ryobi de 18 voltios, ahora a un nuevo precio más bajo de $129. Arranca todos tus proyectos con un clic Solo en The Home Depot. Haces más, logras más.
Okay, we're back with Jennifer Way. We're not talking about Starbucks or my pet names for Starbucks. We're talking about slowing down as a way to put the brakes on the chaos, maybe, and really focus on yourself. And I was up in Northern California with a buddy of mine about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, working, and we were at a diner having lunch. And I noticed for the first time in my life, I was like slowly eating. That doesn't mean that it was the first time I was ever slowly eating in my life, but it was the first time I was aware of it. I've always been called, my mom and stepdad yell at me every time I eat with them, like, you eat too fast, slow down. It's just from 15 plus years of working in a restaurant. You eat on the run, you eat as fast as you can because you get like 10 minutes to eat your dinner or whatever. So it just became that guy who eats so fast.
I'm that person as well. I don't even chew my food.
It's just boom. There's a Todd Yon, this comedian, has this great bit where it's his stomach yelling at him, chew your food. Anyway, it still makes me laugh. But chew your food. And so it's just this crazy voice he says it. But and I realized in the moment of just slowly lifting a French fry to my face instead of just boom, there was this weird change happening in me. I mean, this sounds too woo woo, maybe.
But look who you're talking to.
Yeah, right. So, for people listening, I just implore you, maybe lift a French fry or a potato chip or a carrot slowly to your mouth, not in a sensual way. I was like, lift the carrot slowly.
Yeah.
But is it
Smell
like
it,
stuff like that
lick
that
it.
is like?
Sorry.
It smelled like, do carrots do smell?
They do.
They smell like carrots?
I've started eating carrots without peeling them too.
Oh, see,
I'm enlightened, y'all.
I hate to admit this, but I'm a pre-peeled carrot guy. I'm
That's
the
okay.
mini carrots, in the bags. Oh, I mean, give me some hummus or give me some guac and just instead
It's
of potato
perfect.
chips or
It's
Doritos
easy.
or
It's
something like that.
perfect. Yeah.
So I think what are some good ways for like people to put the brakes on,
Yeah.
other than just lifting a carrot slowly to your mouth?
Well, I think one thing that's become really helpful for me, I'm gonna kind of like joke like Jessa Reed. Like there's this thing called meditating. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it, but it's not even that. It's really like when I wake up in the morning, I definitely my mind is already racing most of the time. So I've had like a couple of practices that I've introduced into my world. So I kind of take a second. I don't think it has to be more than 5 minutes just to really sorry, I hate this. I hate that I'm going to say this, but to really center and ground and work with the breath. But like,
Well,
it's
Jennifer,
really not a surprise.
it's not your fault that spirituality has been filtered into the mainstream in such a more way, like a larger way, that it has been monetized in Geico or all these insurance commercials with like yoga teachers being like, yeah, I'm
exactly.
That is, to me, it's annoying as hell, but it's also a very positive sign in the way that it means so many people are familiar with it. Now we can use it to monetize or get people's attention. So I understand what you say, that you when you're saying that. I hate that I'm saying this, but it's not your fault.
Yeah. I mean, here's the other thing I'm going to say is all the things that I'm starting to do now, it's not a secret. None of the things I'm actually putting into play are secret or not known or like only Buddha knows or like only a guru knows, or it was a matter of getting to a point where I was so uncomfortable with my life. I was in so much pain. I was coping. I was smoking a ton of weed. I was, just trying to escape, where I just kind of had a flash and a point where I just like I hit my limit. And I was like, I have to make serious changes. I think age also helps, and menopause is fucking slapping me in the face every morning. So it's kind of like you get to a point, and if you're not there yet, be gentle with yourself. But I used to guilt myself into not having routine, into not flossing my teeth. I used to, for me, it's like, because I'm the person who's like, if someone comes up to me and they're like, you have to do this, I'm going to be like, fuck you. Absolutely not. I'm an instant no, because I don't want to hear it from other people. So I had to really get to a point where internally, I was motivated internally to do the things that work with me. And the one thing I will say about transitioning into a person who does have a routine, I've also found I'm very seasonal. So I'm not going to mirror what other people are doing, where they're like, I do this every single morning for the last 50 years of my life. Like, I'm not, I've had to accept that I'm not that person, that I'll have something that works for like a week and then I'll see if it comes another week. So I've just adopted patience with myself, kindness and patience with myself, and checking in with myself throughout the day. That's been incredibly important. So finding time to be with your own silence, finding time to be by yourself. It's incredibly important to individualize your experience, not to over identify with stuff, or like we had spoken about before, like to holding on too tight, but to really reconnect with yourself and rediscover who you really are away from this fucking crazy world, because it's only going to get crazier, and you can't, no one can do it right out there right now. I don't think anyone can get it right out there. Everything's just too fucked up because it's all being destroyed. I mean, that's a very real thing. Everything is being destroyed, but it's being destroyed so that it can clear a path for the age of Aquarius. And that's really what it is. It is the age of Aquarius. So it's a paradigm shift of energy that, and I don't know that much about astrology. I only know like little bits and pieces, but from what I see and what I hear, we're just in a complete transitional period where there's just no solid ground, because it's earthquakes all over the place. It's earthquakes, it's hurricanes, it's tornadoes, sometimes physically, a lot of times physically. It's fires. All those things are happening energetically, and they're manifesting in physical form. So, I mean, that's nuts, you guys. It's fucking nuts. Do not put pressure on yourself to try to master anything right now. Like, just get your grip and try to learn how to surf on the waves, because we don't want anyone drowning. And find the right people. This is the other thing. Find the right people in your life, because there are people who, and I'm sure everyone's experiencing this, who are grasping. If you're learning how to swim, you've got people who are not taking responsibility for themselves to learn how to swim. So they're grasping onto people, you, me, and they're drowning people with that. So it's not unkind to allow someone to learn their own lessons. And it's not unkind to really manage your own energy field and to cut people off, because, and it's boundaries. It's basically learning boundaries, because your energy is so important. Your energy is the most important thing in the whole world. And you have to convince yourself of that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of that resonates deeply. And what's interesting is I'm staring at my daily affirmation that I use during I'm doing the Gateway Experience meditations.
Oh, nice.
And it says,
Creepy,
part of it says,
scary, nice. No, I'm sorry.
part of it says, also, I deeply desire the help and cooperation, the assistance, the understanding of those individuals whose wisdom, development, and experience are equal to or greater than my own, which speaks directly to the swimming and the drowning and the people grasping, because it's a great visual image that it conjures of, I'm trying to swim and someone's grabbing my leg. And now I can't kick anymore because they're grabbing my leg. So they're trying to like, hey, you can swim, help me. And it's like, well, now you're making it so I can't swim.
Yeah, and they're
You're taking
sinking
it.
you.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they don't know that they're doing it. They're not doing it on purpose, but they literally are, again, they're in a survival mode where they're not learning how to help themselves or they're not, you know, sorry, I just saw a text message. So I just got a text message from my daughter who's 16 and who's like, "Can I have more time on TikTok?" Important stuff. Sorry, distracted. Anyway, yeah, I'm
Well,
like, if you're a parent, that's one area where like let them drown you. There's still light. So I'm like,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
fine. I'm strong enough to swim for you guys, for all of us. But yeah.
Well, that speaks to you know, the quiet time with oneself, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, I think the biggest competitor for that is these phones, these portal devices that can take us to anywhere in the world instantly,
Hmm.
and it can be difficult to turn the magic away
Hmm.
because it's such a magical device not good or bad necessarily when I say
Hmm.
magical, but so it is obviously, especially for someone like me who grew up with, telephones attached to walls
Yeah.
in
Same.
court. So it's like now that, there's these things that can just literally transport us anywhere and connect us to anyone at
Hmm.
any time. It's the, the allure of that is so strong, and it can be difficult
Yeah.
to get some time. I know for me, it's walks, it's nature, and I've only hiked one time since the Los Angeles fires because I'm still a little
Oh,
nervous about air
shit. That's
quality out
right.
here. But I think
Really? It's still bad. I didn't know it was still bad
well,
out
I
there.
think it's probably okay, and it's just like the prepper inside of me.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
get
I
it.
I hate
I get
to.
it. I
I mean,
have
I
lots
think
of cans of food
yeah, I
and lots of water jugs that are
well, I have a
just
friend who
waiting.
has terrified me of the bird flu pandemic that is impending. And whether or not
Oh,
that's going to happen, I don't know. But every time I go to the grocery store, I pick up a couple extra boxes of non perishable foods.
yep.
So now my cupboard is filled with, and my roommates are making fun of me. And I'm like, well, don't come making fun of me when we can't leave the house
Yep.
and all the birds and cows are dead. Um,
Yes.
don't
Yeah.
come
I make
looking.
sure you get chicken soup,
Yeah, don't
get
raid.
vegetable soup too,
I
get
should get some.
beans.
I should. I need to get the rice and the bean bags because right now I've just got about
Oh, yeah.
70 boxes because they were on sale of Pop Tarts. But
Yeah. I I get it. I get it.
hey, when you're selling them
Yeah.
2 for $5, I'm losing money if I don't buy them.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, okay. So I promise I'll get focused here.
It's
The
okay. It's
well,
hard. I'm all over the place too, but
it's interesting that in a world that seems to be, and in many ways is completely crumbling and falling apart, um, and I don't think it's a self-fulfilling prophecy to talk like that at this point.
hmm.
Um, there is we can't have cognitive dissonance about what's happening around us.
Hmm.
There, I was thinking about this the other day because as someone who considers himself extremely progressive politically, on the side of socialism leaning into communism, I I find it really upsetting, but also interesting about what's happening specifically in the United States right now, with like an all-time low of Democrats being happy with or satisfied with Democratic leadership in the United States government.
Mm.
It seemingly is at an all-time low right now, according to certain poll numbers that I've seen. And what it says to me is, and I've wanted more choices for so long that actually had legitimate chances and voices that could be heard. And I
Mhm.
wonder if we're entering a time of more choice, of breaking duality. I wonder if the duality of the world is being shattered during this time as we move into the age of Aquarius. For me,
Mm.
that would be wonderful, whether it's sexually, politically, gender,
Mhm.
um, also choices about how to live one's life
Yeah.
and to pursue happiness. For me, the spectrum is should be embraced, and I wonder if that's part of this age of Aquarius thing, and this shattering and turning and burning, like, because forests need to be burned
Mhm.
and they grow back stronger and
Yeah.
potentially even thicker. I do. Do we sense that that's what's happening here?
Absolutely. It's what I believe is happening. And it's been happening since, look at the hippie movements of the late say, look at the musical Hair. That was the dawning of the age of Aquarius.
The
And
Age of Aquarius.
Yes.
Oh, what a good song.
Yes, it's such a good song. I love to perform that musical when I was younger for any people I lived with, and it was the only theater I ever did in a living room. Um, no, like I, I, I think what you were saying before just made me think of this one word that's been popping up for me and a couple of like healer friends where we're having issues with like our therapists or people that we once really looked up to. And I was like, I got a message. I channeled a message probably back in 2020 that was about just releasing this idea of authority, of external authority. So the government, the representatives, that is that's not the vibes anymore. It is about moving into a place where you accept your own, you are the authority. You're the authority on your life. You're the authority on what you believe. You're the authority on what you value. And there's so many messages everywhere that are just either outright or subliminally telling you what you should value, what you should believe, and who you should look up to. But when you look up to people, whether it's a celebrity, whether it's a president, whether it's a CEO, you are, by nature of looking up, you are setting yourself below. So it's like, we got to stop doing that to ourselves. But that's how everything has been set up for thousands of years. So we are in this process of moving ourselves up to ourselves, like in our own view. We're taught to, this is really more for women, I would say, not exclusively, but, women are very much taught to just be accommodating, throw their own things aside so that they can, you know, give people what they need. And that's why people, are grow up as people pleasers. You get that message, but you get that message subconsciously. You get that message because you see that even if people don't ask for it, you see their energy shift if you don't do what they want you to do. So it's subtle, but that's also why like the feminine is rising. And not the feminine like we all have to wear skirts and heels now. It's because that's the patriarchal definition of feminine is creativity. Feminine is destruction. Feminine is dark. Feminine is messy, like totally messy. And feminine is loving. Feminine is kind. Feminine is communication. And the world is balancing itself out. And in terms of kind of the breaking apart of the world, we have to expand our perspective of the world. We also have to, I do think we are moving into a place where it's not just duality. We're moving to a higher, more expanded dimensional experience of the world, because we know we're spirits in meat suits, and we forget that, and we're isolated from our truth as, divine beings, which I, 100% believe. So I'm kind of like, you can't fucking tell me what to do. Like, I don't care. I don't care anymore. But I had to get to that place internally first before I could be like, I don't care about government. I mean, yeah, I care about government. I do read I read Heather Cox Richardson like every day. But apart from that, I'm like, this is people, a lot of people on TikTok have said it's like the season finale of America. It's all entertainment at this point,
Yeah, I mean,
and it's affecting people's lives. I'm not trying to say that this isn't causing people to die and suffer, because it is, and it's atrocious. It's disgusting. But if it's not affecting you directly, you've got to do your best to take responsibility for your own energy, consider yourself, your own authority on you, not on other people, but on yourself. And then you move towards loving yourself so that you can love others and serve others. And then we come in as community, as fully realized people in our full like light and potential. Ah, twinkle, twinkle, twinkle.
Twinkle, twinkle, twinkle. And I mean, I want to talk about that too when we come back. We got to take another quick break, but I want to talk about the authority of oneself, and then, when what the results of such a thing are. And I think you just touched on it, and that's community.
Mm-hmm.
And the natural way that I think humans, operate at their best, and that is in community, selflessly, and with care and empathy and sympathy and love. We're going to be right back with Jennifer Way. We're talking about everything that has ever happened and will happen on the program today. Okay, we are back. You said something that I think is, really poignant, and it is probably the biggest thing happening in so many different areas and in so many different ways, the way it's unfolding right now. And that is people becoming the authority for themselves. And I think a lot of people are taking this idea, a lot of people are running with it, whether it becomes, and I think it does. I think also, as with everything that ever happens, there is distortions of it, and it'll be manipulated by other people who realize it's happening, and used in such a way. And I think conspiracy theories are a great example of this. People thinking that they should be the scientists, or they are the people who know everything, or the biblical scholars, or whatever, right? And but there's something that you mentioned that these people seem to be forgetting when it comes to becoming an authority for oneself, and that is not for other people, but for yourself. And the danger of someone really leaning into this in a way that is, I guess, less thoughtful, maybe we can say that, doesn't mean they have malice behind their intentions or their actions, at least when they start off, is now they believe they should be telling you how you should be doing it, because that's how they're doing it. And I've fallen into this over the years. Like, this is the way I did stand up. This is how you should do it. And if you're not doing it my way, you're wrong. It's like, whoa, that sounds crazy when you say it out loud. So I think the community aspect of not projecting your authority onto other people that seems to be, I don't know, it seems to be a natural progression for when a person focuses on themselves, not in a selfish way. Then they seek that connection and community with others, right?
Yeah, I think I see what you mean. Like, of course it can be distorted. I mean, that's why it's like, even when I say those words, like, you have to become your own authority, people won't listen to those words, and they'll take it for like, oh, so I'm just gonna be better than everyone else. It's funny to think that, and I still think that at times. And you have to be conscious of it. You have to be conscious and aware of the like propensity to slide back into like an ego place, because we have to survive. So it's just going to be about finding that balance, I think. And just being aware that you don't want to be that asshole because you don't want to be told what to do. I mean, at least that's the kind of the thing for me. I think when I say authority, I also want to say, like, it has to do with your energy and kind of like who has access to that energy, and knowing your energy is valuable. And if someone is showing that they want access to your energy, that you learn how to recognize that. And you also need to learn how not to do that to other people. And like I said before, I think the only way to avoid just going into like dictator territory, which is, again, it's all a spectrum. So you could be all the way on that side, all the way on the side, but it's just going to be about finding the center. And there's going to be days where you're a fucking asshole. There's going to be days where you're like, I love everybody and the flowers. And so you you have to commit to being more conscious and more aware. And know that just as much as no one can take your energy, and you know, you have to be aware of when you might be taking other people's energy. I do that a lot.
I love
So
this idea. It actually it makes me think of, you know, how traditionally in the workforce you can take a sick day.
mhm.
Um, I wonder, I feel like I have to allow myself to take a dick day every once in a while, where I'm like, sorry, can't do a lot today with other people because I'm a dick today. I'm taking a dick day.
Yeah.
To clarify what that means for everyone listening,
Yeah.
we're talking about the actions and the point of view of when someone's behaving like a dick. But
Yeah.
yeah. So I think we should allow ourselves dick days.
Yeah.
We won't say this out loud, but we allow ourselves dick days, asshole days, whatever we want to call it. The asshole
All
gets a
body
bad rap.
parts.
The asshole gets a really bad rap.
It does.
I
It's
was
so
thinking about this.
necessary.
Yeah, it is like, what did the asshole ever do? Like, it smells like, you know, like, anyway, the, we
Yeah.
don't judge. Okay.
No, I
I'm,
love poop talk. Let's go. Let's go
well,
there. I love poop.
you know, it's like when people, you know what, this,
Sorry.
like when people say, "Oh, it smells like ass in here," it's like you're associating the thing that one of the things that the ass does for you. Now you're associating that action now to the totality of what the ass is, and it seems wrong to do that. Like
Yeah.
you don't say like if it smells like, you never hear people like walking down Hollywood Boulevard being like, it smells like dick out here because it smells like piss, right?
Yeah.
But they don't say it
Good
smells like
point.
dick down here, or it smells like,
Yeah.
you know, urethra down here. You know, because, you know, a less educated person might say it smells like pussy, but we know that the pussy
I've
doesn't.
walked into some bathrooms and I'm like, ew, I know this. I don't want this smell in my ugh,
Anyway,
gross.
okay, so um
We're
but yeah, so
human. We
yeah,
stink. Like
yeah,
naturally, we actually stink. But
I
yeah.
know, and none of us would notice if we just all did that.
Yeah. Oh, I will say this thing about the ass and the asshole that I did have a conversation with whatever my higher self, whatever you want to call it, that was like, you know, the body is very much when you do channeling or when you're giving Reiki energy, you're opening up a column. You're a column of light. People who can see people as spirits, you know, you're basically a column of like very bright light. And depending on where your chakras are blocked or where that energy is blocked, you can see these things if you're, you know, energetically sensitive or clairvoyant. And the thing that came in was like, yeah, this is the physical, your mouth and your ass are the physical manifestation of like you're taking in information and you're processing it, and then you have to excrete. Like you have to like get rid of the waste, return it back to the earth. And I was like, oh yeah, I never thought about it that way. It's a bodily function that's the manifestation of the energetic process.
Wow, I love it. And with that, we should be, you know, put some respect on the asshole's name and the
Seriously.
mouth and the mouth and the butt's name.
Exactly.
No, I do. I mean, visually that makes sense to me, and it actually makes me want to be more conscious about the matter that I am transmuting
I was just gonna
inside
say,
of.
it smells like rectum in here. I think, and it's just really funny that we're talking about this because I literally had a call with a gastroenterologist so I could schedule my colonoscopy.
Okay, well, you
Everybody
know,
get your colonoscopies.
yes,
Yeah,
and you know, you'll be glad you did afterward.
yeah.
And you know,
Afterwards,
afterwards, and just, you know, oof, yeah,
keep those pipes clean, everybody.
I'm supposed to go in again, I think, actually, so that's a great reminder
Yeah,
for me.
Gen X, all of us, it's time.
See if you can poop in a box. That might be
Cologuard is pretty good. They're not our sponsor, but yeah, they're
they
pretty
might
good.
be that might be a little more, it might be less, I don't know, the liquid thing
Yes.
you have to do, the
Yeah,
drink
just
beforehand is,
oh
it is brutal.
yeah,
It's the worst part.
yeah.
But you'll get through it.
Yeah.
And if you live with someone, just
Thanks,
have
Ryan.
them take like an Airbnb for a day or two, because you will be in the bathroom the whole time.
That's all right. I'm there a lot. My
Yeah.
maiden name actually means man with a little belly. So gastrointestinal issues run in my family. So I'm no
Oh,
stranger
wow.
to the
You know what
the
changed my
velour.
life?
What?
And I can't believe I waited this long to do it. About 5 months ago, I got on the daily fiber supplement.
Oh,
And I have to tell you, I am like living a whole different, it's like I cup jumped into a different body.
wow. What are you using? What is it, like a
I'm
pill
just,
form or
yeah, it's
like
just like these three,
Metamucil?
yeah, it's just three fiber pills. Um,
Oh,
they
that's
say you're
great.
supposed to take five. I've never taken that many
That's scary. I feel
because
like that would be violent.
I'm also a little cheap, and I'm like, I want to make this bottle last longer, right? So I started with two, and then I was like, I'll
Smart.
kick it up to three. But it
Yeah.
has changed my life in a way that it makes me wish I would have done it a decade earlier.
You know, it's never too late to start. Your body heals itself, and we just have to make the space for it to do so. And I'm sure after a couple of months, your body is probably gonna, don't worry if you didn't do it. You know, it's great that you're doing it now.
But it's also a reminder you can't just, that doesn't mean you can just go be a garbage person and throw anything you want into your mouth, right? And
Yeah.
your body's
I
going to be like, we'll
mean,
take care of it.
I'm a little bit of a garbage person like twice a week, you
Well, yes,
know,
but as long as you're not living that life,
not trying to live that life. Yeah,
because we do have to think about our physical forms
for
and how
sure.
long do we want them to last,
Yeah.
and what do we want. And you did touch on something that is a way for us to kind of bring this back in,
Yeah.
and it is like, if we, you know, if we're conscious about what we're doing, and we we're not too hard on ourselves for when we don't do it,
Hmm.
I feel like that's a much more successful recipe for
Hmm.
success than, I used to be the guy who, I'm going to set out to do something, and the minute that I fail, it's over,
Hmm.
instead of trying to jump back in and just be like, oh, that was a hiccup. It wasn't,
Yeah.
it wasn't a failure. And I think I probably did it best with this book, The Easy Way to Stop Smoking, where I either
Yeah.
read or listened to the audio version of it 35 times.
Yeah.
And people get saying that book doesn't work. And I go, it does, as long as you
Yeah.
don't give up on it.
I think that's such an important lesson, and it's so important for people to hear that because you're anything could work. You know, it's like it's always worth it to try to do something. That's how you show yourself love. And honestly, loving yourself and caring enough to be gentle with yourself. Take that fiber supplement. It's like you owe it to yourself. And even if no one did it for you before, or you might still be in your wounded body about it, it's okay because you're the person who's going to do that for yourself now. And you can accept the past, you can accept that it's going to be a messy journey because you're human. Like that's why you're here. It's you're not going to be perfect. I mean, the world likes to put a perfection overlay, on everything, and it's really just our way to cope with the fact that of insecurity. I mean, it's like, yeah, nothing is finite. Nothing is secure. Secure is like a pipe dream. So find security and compassion within yourself. That's what you can control. You can't really control these other fuckers out here. Sorry, I'm cursing a lot today.
Well, it's okay. I mean,
Yeah.
using bad language is a sign of high intelligence. I
Thank you.
I heard that somewhere, and I will believe it forever,
Yeah.
until I'm fucking dead.
Yeah.
But well, I'm curious about your thoughts on this. When we decide to try to make a change, and the reason I think about this is because when I started doing the fiber supplements, and I became very acutely aware of my body and the way it reacted to certain foods, like the next day, right? Without getting too graphic. And I started understanding, like, oh, when I do this, this happens and I don't like this.
Mhm.
Um, and maybe for the first time in my life, I started listening to my body in a way that I was consciously aware of,
Yeah.
and like making notes, mental notes about. I mean, we all listen to our body, whether
Mhm.
we think we do or not. Like we stop running when we're tired, or because it might cause
Mhm.
us to injure ourselves, or
Yeah.
things like that. But I think it's a landslide in a good way when we actually start listening to our body, then and we become aware of it and of the signals it's sending us. Those do those amplify, like, if much like if someone notices, like a person that you meet somewhere,
Mhm.
if you take interest in them, they start talking to you more.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. It's a relationship that you're getting to know your body in a new way, and your body will speak to you if you ask it questions and listen for it. You'll get an inkling, or you'll get an idea, or like a thought popped into your head. Your body is just waiting for you to notice it.
It's
It's
sitting
like
by the phone, like.
it's totally sitting by the phone. It's such a pick me, but like if you start, it's just like any relationship, you start at the baseline, almost like the root chakra. You move up the body and really get to know each part of it and give it space to respond to you, because when you form that relationship, it'll get quicker and it'll get faster, where that there isn't that like lag in time between, like, oh, this hurts. It'll just become faster, because you're like, I know what you're thinking, stomach. Oh, you got it. Oh, I love it. I love you. We're so on. Like, it's just, we're twins. So it's like you're really forming a lasting relationship with your body, and that's all about communication, just like any relationship. So be patient with it, and it's like it doesn't have to look like anyone else's journey. I mean, that's the other thing. It's like take off the limitations and the expectations of what you see other people doing, because no one has it together. Even professionals, like, no one has it together. Just don't don't put it on yourself to replicate whatever you're seeing, because it's always going to be impossible. Like, you're here to be in your body, not to. And yeah, of course we have eyes and we can see what other people are doing, but doesn't really matter what anyone else thinks or does. It all that matters is what you think, what you say, what you do, how you treat yourself, and only good things come of it. You become a more conscious person. You become a more loving person. You become a more cooperative person, and these are all good things.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah, we got to take one last break, and I just can't get the image. It's like about your body waiting for a call or a text. I see like a Ramin Nazer drawing here,
yeah,
where it's like the meat suit holding the phone, staring, waiting for the bubbles to pop up from Spirit, right?
totally.
Um, we should ask Ramin for a what is it, a when you pay an artist to do something for you,
Oh
um,
yeah,
a commission,
commission. That's right.
because I'm
You
sure
know him. You're
he's
friends with
not
him, right?
busy. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
know,
it's
right? He's not busy.
yeah, he's not busy. Anyway, we're going to be
Yeah,
right back, and I want to lean into, because I think I got side railed by fiber talk,
it's okay.
um, about
It's needed.
yeah, it is needed, about um, the segue into community, from, because it does sound, I think maybe to some people listening, it does sound counterintuitive to be, well, how does focusing on oneself so much lead to community? It sounds kind of as a singular and solitary exercise. But we're going to talk, we'll put a bow on getting into that as well. We'll be right back. And we have returned, and this has been a great chat. And I want to just like really reinforce, maybe, and get into it a little bit more in more detail about how focusing on oneself, becoming one's own, I guess, expert or authority, in a conscious way really leads to a building of community and a desire for connection, which might sound counterintuitive to some people who maybe aren't that familiar with these concepts, or shy away from any kind of language that even like suggests that we should be shutting off from the outside and paying attention to everything that's burning and focusing on the internal space.
Yeah. How do I want to answer this? Um, I think that we have to become aware of our own belief system and what informs it, and decide for ourselves, almost like pick it apart. Like, I believe that, or, going from like an experience where like, oh, that hits me weird, to really take a second and ask why it hits you weird. Where do you think you learned that this is weird from? Does whatever taught you that, does it still work for you? So that's one thing, is just sort of look at your belief system around it and try to figure out where it came from. Because I think it's important for people to also understand that the reason we have authorities is for power and control. And I think we understand now, we can see how so many people in this world are power grabbing. So there, if your belief comes from this world, I think we can all plainly see that it's not benefiting us anymore. It's kind of just benefiting the person with the power or the person with the authority. And it's not really for us. It's kind of like how everyone feels like the government, oh, it's not for us anymore. It's all the politicians are corrupt in a way. The system is kind of corrupt in a way. It's meant to give a certain small group of people all the power in the world over us. So that's not working. But if we've spent all this time giving our power away, we have to find a way to like suck it back into ourselves, learn how to develop our own power and authority. Remember that powering over someone doesn't end up things don't end up well. They'll end up violent, there'll be a ton of resistance. It's not going to be good for anybody except for the people on top. So just kind of looking at it that way, and making the decision for yourself that I want to be able, if you want to be able to relate to people, if you want to be able to kind of come into community with somebody, you wouldn't want them powering over you. So you don't want to do that over other people. You would want people in your community to be self-actualized, people who realize and know themselves extremely well, so that all that work is kind of done already. And then you can meet each other in a place of respect, and then a place of almost joy, where you, from that point on, you guys can come together and create something new. You always learn through relationship with other people, but being like overly dependent on somebody where you're expecting to get your energy from a person, you gotta kind of really take a step back and think about why that is and whether that's the way to go forward for you. It might be, and it could be, but you want to be the best you can be, so that you can come together with other people who are doing the same thing. Because whatever you can share your own sense of sovereignty with another person and just create something magnificent from it. I
Yeah,
don't know if that answers it.
I think so.
Okay.
It reminds me of, I know I try to, this is what I think would be helpful for me to kind of, in a very like bare bones practical way of like trying to examine what you're saying in my own life. It would be, if I'm watching a movie and there's the main character, and the main character came up a certain way or seems to believe certain things. When I'm watching from the outside on the couch or whatever, and I see the new information presented to the main character. I really want that character to let go of the past. And I want them to change their mind. And I want them to put aside their ego and their pride. And I want them to just, because who cares? Because from the couch, I'm like watching, like, it doesn't matter if you don't look stupid, you don't look silly, you look smart because you're adjusting and changing. But when we're in it,
That's like a perfect example. Yeah, that's perfect.
oh
Go
well, we
ahead, go
got to
ahead.
mark this day on the calendar.
I
Uh,
know. Sorry. I
um,
was trying to,
but yeah, but
yeah.
I mean, like what you were saying is what conjured that image in my mind. I never would have thought of this without you saying what you were saying. Now, that is beautiful though, to think about, like, changing and growing and becoming better and discard. I love the idea of getting rid of stuff. I mean, that's why I love donating stuff to like Goodwill.
Hmm.
And I feel so much better afterwards.
Totally. And the other
And
thing about it
yeah,
is like we live in a country that demands excess in everything. So we have to come to a point, and I've heard someone else say this before, where we look at our lives and we're like, I've got enough. Like, I don't need anything more. Like I saw someone who was like, "Oh, middle age. Oh, I bought this like fancy sports car. I was having like a midlife crisis." And I was like, "It's so interesting because my midlife crisis is getting rid of everything. I just don't want this shit moving forward. I want to go live in a commune and age and like grow food and make it very simple." Because like it's so much nicer to think of like spending your day not worrying about all this shit we weren't built to worry about, just
it sounds amazing.
slowing down, eating that carrot or eating that French fry,
Slowly
you
lift the
know?
carrot to your mouth on a land where
Yes.
people share.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm with you on that. And, you know, I mean, there's so many conversations that spring from that well. But, and also just to follow up on the thing about, finding security in oneself and that's where, you know, our home base can be just like
Mhm.
checking with ourselves and feeling secure and feeling okay. And I think once we do that, we are able to, I mean, because I know, especially in times of great distress, anxiety, fear, having, and I think that's probably what love is, or it's one of the
Mhm.
aspects of what love is. Like, if you also can find that in another person, someone, basically, it's just as simple as, hey, can I count on you? And,
Mhm.
in a judgment free space,
Yeah.
where it's okay to truly be authentic. I think that's probably what everyone just wants,
Yeah.
and not to go hungry and be
Yeah.
murdered and or,
So,
or assaulted in any way. I think that
yeah.
that's all we really want
That's
in this
it.
life,
Yeah.
right? Um, yeah, wow. I mean, but capitalism is so thirsty. It just
So
it
thirsty.
changes it, and its actions and reactions are resultant from that, I suppose. And
Yeah.
we all experience it as long as we agree to play the game.
Exactly. We can choose. We don't have to go live in a cabin in the woods with no electricity. We can, but there's a way that we can balance it where that doesn't dictate what we want. I mean, listen, I have stuff being mailed to me at this moment, so I can't, like but being aware of it and consciously just trying to just pull your energy back in and almost going back to the beginning to kind of like bring it around, you only integrate creating space for yourself to do so and allowing the truth of your reactions to come up, even if it's like, well, like when I'm integrating, I'm in a dark space. I'm like, oh, but I got to do something. I got to, and just being like, wait a sec, you don't got to do something. Give yourself more time to like flow in this little bubble, let it flow around, sink to the bottom if you need to, but it's gonna move. Nothing stays the same. That's not the nature of the world. Nothing stays the same. So even if you're in a really shitty place, you've got to throw yourself a life raft and say, this won't last. This is not going to last. It feels like it's going to be forever, but it can't. It literally can't. That's just not the nature of the universe. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I love that. And, it also strikes me that all these perceived time bombs in our mind that will go off if we don't diffuse them, 99%
Yeah.
of them are duds. And there's
Yes.
no explosion at all that's getting ready to happen.
And those are landmines put there years ago. We didn't put them there. Someone else put them there.
Yeah. Well,
Fucking
I mean,
Nazis. No, sorry.
it's always the fucking Nazis.
Fucking Nazis.
And yeah, it's this Dave Waite, who's one of my housemates, very funny comedian. We were talking this yesterday. It made me laugh in like one of the darkest ways possible. He goes, who are all these like boomers and other people who are watching the History Channel for hours and hours, all these Nazi documentaries, and thought to themselves, yeah, that'd be cool to do that. Because it seems like we're living in that reality right now. And it's crazy.
That's the power of TV. That's visual media for you.
Unbelievable. So, Jennifer, this has been great. Let's remind everybody where they can find you, especially if they want to, reach out and get some energy healing and things like that.
Yeah. So you can find me at Jennifer Way. That's WAI.com. I am doing intuitive consulting. I'm doing energy Reiki healing in person. If you're in the tri-state area, that's New York, New Jersey. Let's just keep it to 2-state area because I won't go to Connecticut. But I am also, that's it. That's really it. Like, I don't really F with Instagram too much, but I am on TikTok at Sacred Comedy, because that's still around, because life is a sacred comedy right now. So Sacred Comedy is going through a little bit of a change. Might still be a show. It might be more like a workshop. It's going to deal with healing in some kind of way, shape, or form. And I am working on a 10-minute set. OMG. Yep.
A 10-minute set.
A 10-minute set. We're working on it. It's just like, let me try it. I've been avoiding it for a long time. So let me go bomb and let me work my way up from there.
I bet that bomb will be a dud. You'll be surprised that the bomb will not go off. But that's great.
Thank you.
I love to hear this.
Oh, good. All right. Eek.
I can't wait to get an update on this. I had no idea. Okay.
Why did I put it out there?
Well, I do that. I do that too.
I know.
Like, I will tell people that I'm going to do something. So it like makes me hold myself accountable for some reason. So I don't look like
I just can't
fool.
escape it. It's been in my face for so long. And I'm like, everyone's like, you're a comedian. I'm like, I'm a non-practicing comedian. And they're like, you just give it a try. So,
I was thinking about this before our talk.
Really?
Today.
Okay.
I'm the guy who's like always psychic after you tell me something. That's so weird. You brought that up. I was
That's
thinking
crazy.
about this earlier today. Like, there's no way for you to verify I'm telling the truth, but I was thinking about this today. But that's so weird.
I believe you, because I felt like you were thinking about something that I was thinking about. I already got that message.
Wow.
As
Okay.
well.
Yeah. So it's been decided.
Look at that. Yeah. It's done.
Okay. Well, you got to send me. I can't wait to hear updates about this. So thanks for joining today. I think this was a great talk. I think this really shed some light on, I think, integration, like how to focus on oneself, because it's the only thing we can control during these crazy times. And it will be doing the world a favor. The more and more people who become stable and secure internally, it will be reflected in the outside world. And those safe pockets, for those safe and stable pockets in chaotic times, are exactly what other people need to be able to see exist, to know it's possible.
And then we can all play together and have fucking fun. It's time.
It's a hopeful future.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, Ryan. I love being here, and I love all of you guys. Thank you for listening.
Well, I love having you on the show and can't wait to do it again sometime. So until then, I can't wait 10 minutes. Oh, here we go.
Oh no.